is our sensor, and should I open it up?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And this is what we use to test the water. Basically, we're testing we have conductivity, dissolved oxygen, salinity, and it's really interesting actually to see how some of the water is affected around here. And it's interesting for the wildlife too. We have to make sure that everything's the way it should be, especially making sure that we're not getting too polluted. We're collecting information about the salinity in the water, because if the salinity is too high or too low, it affects the wildlife, and that's not good. And we're testing for dissolved oxygen, how much oxygen is in the water, because if there's too much, too little. What else would you like to do?
Temperature.
Temperature, again, making sure the water is not too warm, too cold. It's all basically about how this water can affect the wildlife and keeping the balance the way it should be. Well, we plug it into a computer, and basically the computer takes whatever data is on here and then analyzes it and puts it in a graph. And then we as a class, we discuss the graph, we go through each of the data that all the data that we've collected. We see trends, we look for trends in our previous week and then the week that we just collected. And so it's pretty interesting to see how it can change, how it can fluctuate.
Well, it's nice to partner with the community and with education, with high schools and middle school students. It kind of connects the interests that scientists have with getting real problem solving happening in the classroom. Instead of learning this by a textbook, they're helping us study the community that we're interested in, and hopefully they're engaged by it, and maybe turning a few kids on to science at the same time. But we're finding out more information about the water because we have extra manpower with the students, which has been wonderful. What we'll use the BOB data for is looking for trends in the water to see if things are changing. It's kind of like a canary in a coal mine. So if we see something with one of the sensors, we can put in one of our very expensive water quality sensors to see if something's happening that we should look more into, or it's just allowing us to get a wider coverage of data collection, looking for small changes in the environment.
The other thing too, and Crystal mentioned it, she said we had a lot of troubleshooting, and I think it teaches the students that science doesn't always work the first time you go out there, and it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong and you have to figure out what's wrong. You have to do like a technical service kind of thing, okay, let me unplug this. Is this the thing that's not working? Okay, let me do this. And you do it in a very logical step. So
you can learn everything from a textbook. You can memorize it, you can read it, you can do whatever, but eventually it's not going to stick with you. Doing things like this, being out in the water, being out learning things from your teachers and professors, this sticks with you, and you're more likely to remember what you've learned here. You're engaged in the community, you're learning about the environment in which you live, and I mean, you learn more here than you would ever in a classroom in the textbook. And we go back in the classroom, we talk about the data, we analyze what we collected, and I mean, here this is much more, I think, fitting for a classroom environment because it sticks with you, you learn more from it, you can experience it, not just flipping pages in a book.